All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into something I think we can all relate to,
Yeah.
communication breakdowns. You
Sounds
know
good.
those moments when you're like, am I speaking a different language?
Yeah.
And, well, we're looking at Thomas Erikson's Surrounded by Idiots
Yes.
to maybe give us some clues. So,
It's an interesting book for sure.
yeah, it is. And, the title is a little provocative.
Yeah. A little bit clickbaity.
It is, but, maybe it's true sometimes.
Well, I mean, look, the book's not really about calling people idiots. It's
Yeah.
more about, recognizing that everybody's kind of wired differently.
Yeah.
And, Erikson, he uses this color-coded system,
Mm-hmm.
red, yellow, green, and blue.
Right, to sort of help us like decode those differences. But isn't that a little oversimplified?
Well,
Like, I mean, reducing people to colors.
yeah,
We're not traffic lights.
I get it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I mean, even Erikson himself acknowledges that it's not about like slapping on a label, and saying, okay, you're a red, you're a blue.
Right.
It's more about recognizing that people have like dominant tendencies.
Okay.
So it's like a starting point,
Got it.
not like the whole story.
So like less horoscope.
Yeah.
More like a behavioral compass.
I like that.
Okay.
That's a good analogy.
So give me like a scenario. Like where does this click?
Okay.
Where does this color system like?
Okay, so imagine like a team project that's gone completely off the rails.
Okay.
Like the deadline's looming.
Yes.
Everybody's stressed out.
Yeah.
You've got one person who's just barking orders.
Yeah.
Another person who's like lost in the details.
Uh-huh.
You got somebody who's trying to like keep everybody happy.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got one person who just seems completely checked out.
Oh, yeah. Classic team chaos.
Right.
Like, I can already see those personalities clashing.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
let's like apply the colors
Okay.
to this scenario.
Okay.
So that person who's like barking orders, hyper-focused on the goal. That's your red.
Okay.
The
The driven one.
driven, decisive,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a tad impatient.
Yeah, definitely impatient.
Right.
So who's the detail-oriented person?
Okay, so
Who's like stressing over every little thing?
right, while the clock's ticking.
Yeah.
That's most likely a blue.
Okay.
For them, precision is key.
Uh-huh.
Rules,
Mhm.
order,
Mm.
everything has its place.
So the Reds want results now,
Now,
and the Blues want it done right,
right,
even if it takes 3 times as long.
exactly,
And I bet our peacemaker,
right.
who's just trying to keep everybody happy,
Soothe all the feathers.
yeah, that's a green.
That's the green,
Always putting harmony
above all else.
above all else.
But, in a crisis, that conflict avoidance
Yeah.
can be super frustrating
Especially to the red.
to that action-oriented red.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, so then we have our, like, space cadet.
Right.
Who's just like,
Off in La La Land.
yeah, is that our yellow?
Probably.
Okay, yeah.
Yellows, they thrive on ideas.
Yeah.
Brainstorming the big picture.
Yeah.
Details and deadlines.
Nope.
Not so much.
But their enthusiasm can be contagious.
It can if it's channeled correctly.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So we've got our 4 players.
Hmm.
But, like, why are they wired so differently?
Wow.
Like, I mean, Erikson, he kind of gives us the traits,
Yeah.
but, like, what's the why?
Right. That's where it gets really interesting.
Uh-huh.
Let's take reds, for example.
Okay.
That drive.
Mm.
Where does that come
Yeah.
from? Could be a lot of things.
Yeah.
It could be deep-seated insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a learned need for control.
Yeah.
It could even be like a biological predisposition.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so,
Erikson doesn't really delve into that.
Okay.
Which is where, additional research can
yeah.
come in handy.
So this is more like a launch pad for, like, deeper exploration.
Yeah.
It just helps us, like, see the pattern.
Identify the patterns.
But the why
Right.
is a whole other rabbit hole. I
Exactly. So let's go back to our team.
thought. Okay.
We've got these 4 people.
Yeah.
Now that we kind of understand their tendencies, how do we make this group function?
Oh, I mean, my gut says you got to tailor your approach
Right.
to each person.
Exactly.
You wouldn't give a red
Right.
like a vague pep talk,
No.
and you wouldn't bombard a yellow with spreadsheets.
Nope.
Okay.
You're getting it.
Okay.
Yeah, Erikson, he really argues for this idea of like targeted communication.
Mm.
So reds, they need clear objectives.
Mm-hmm.
Blues, they want like detailed plans.
Mm.
Greens appreciate like a collaborative approach.
Yeah.
And yellows, they need space
Okay.
for their creative input.
So what about those like deeper clashes? Like the red who's pushing for results versus the blue
Yeah.
who's all about being meticulous?
Uh-huh.
I mean, wouldn't that create a lot of fiction?
It absolutely can.
Yeah.
Erikson highlights a lot of these like potential conflicts.
Okay.
But he also points out
Yeah.
that these seemingly opposite types
Hmm.
can actually be incredibly complementary.
Oh, interesting.
So like, the red's drive
Yeah.
balanced by the blue's precision.
Okay, so it's not about forcing everybody to be the same. It's
Oh.
about like recognizing how these differences,
Yeah,
when they're harnessed well,
right.
can actually create a strong team.
Exactly.
So,
It's like
Mhm.
he makes this analogy
I.
to the classical elements.
Oh.
How he associates
Yeah.
each color with like
Yeah.
fire, water.
Okay.
So red is fire,
Mm.
action, passion.
Yeah.
Blue is water.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, reflective.
Mm. They seem opposed,
Right.
but they're both essential.
You need both. Like that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fire and water. Huh. That's a really cool way to visualize it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It reminds me of those personality tests.
That tell you you're like an adventurous spirit with a grounded core.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about, understanding those like core elements
Uh-huh.
within ourselves and others.
Wrong.
And to help with that,
Yeah.
Erikson, he includes all these quizzes in the book.
Okay.
And they're not just for fun.
Hmm.
They actually reveal some pretty insightful stuff.
Okay. Quiz me.
Okay.
Like, give me a question that would help me figure out
Okay.
if I'm dealing with, say, a blue in my life.
Okay, let's see. How about this?
Okay.
You need a report done.
Hmm.
2 people volunteer.
Okay.
One whips up like a rough draft immediately.
Okay.
The other one wants a few days to gather all the data.
Hmm.
Who's more likely the blue?
I'm going to say the one who wants more time.
You got it.
Because they wouldn't want to rush into anything
Quite
without
okay.
all the facts.
That need for accuracy,
Yeah.
for doing things right, even if it takes longer.
Yeah.
Classic blue.
Okay. And the rush job is probably our red friend.
Prioritizing speed and action.
Got it. So these quizzes aren't just about like labeling people.
Yeah.
It's about understanding their motivations.
Yeah. Why they do what they do.
Okay.
There's another one about like who's most likely to be on time.
Okay.
So think about it. Who values structure,
Hmm.
planning, predictability?
Okay. I'm going to stick with my blue theory.
You're on a roll.
They seem very punctual.
Yeah, that reliability,
Yeah.
adherence to schedules,
Yeah.
very blue.
Okay.
Now, flip side, who's most likely to be running late?
Ooh.
Caught up in the moment.
Okay, got to be the yellows.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're always bouncing between ideas.
Right.
Chatting with everybody.
Losing track of time.
Yeah, probably lose track of time pretty easily.
It's not malicious.
Right.
It's just a different way of
Yeah.
experiencing the world.
Yeah, and that's where this gets really practical.
Right.
Because recognizing those tendencies can save you a lot of frustration.
Huge, yeah.
Right? Instead of getting annoyed. When my friend's like chronically late,
Right.
I can just accept it's their yellow nature
It's just how they are.
and plan accordingly.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Adjust expectations.
Yeah.
Not trying to change people
Right.
into something they're not.
So speaking of change,
Okay.
Erikson mentions that everybody's a blend of all 4 colors.
Right.
So does that mean we can like shift
Mhm.
our dominant colors over time?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that the book doesn't really fully address.
Okay.
It's likely a very complex interplay
Okay.
of like nature and nurture.
Okay.
Our core temperament
Uh-huh.
might be kind of ingrained,
Okay.
but life experiences self-awareness.
Hmm.
Even conscious effort
Okay.
can influence how those tendencies
Yeah.
manifest.
Okay, so we're not just stuck
Yeah.
in one color box forever.
We're not robots.
There's room for growth.
There's room for growth.
Adaptability.
Adaptability.
Okay, good. I like that.
Yeah. Think of it like this. Okay. You're a painter.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your primary color palette.
Okay.
Your dominant color might be, say, blue.
Okay.
But you can still mix in other colors
Yeah.
to create different shades and hues.
Okay, so a blue person could learn to be more decisive.
Exactly.
Like more red-like
Yeah.
when needed.
When the situation calls for it.
But still retain their core blue strengths.
It's about expanding your repertoire,
Okay.
not erasing who you are.
I like that.
Yeah. And that's where the real value lies.
Okay.
It's not in labeling ourselves or others.
Right.
It's in using this understanding
Uh-huh.
to improve communication,
Yeah.
navigate conflicts,
Mm.
build stronger relationships.
So speaking of relationships,
Okay.
are there any specific pairings that Erikson highlights
Yeah.
as being like particularly challenging or
Right.
conversely like really well suited?
He talks a lot about team dynamics. So, for example,
Right.
like the red-blow pairing,
Yeah.
while potentially clashing,
Uh-huh.
can also be incredibly productive.
Okay.
You've got the reds' vision and drive
Right.
combined with the blues' like meticulous execution.
It's like the classic entrepreneur-engineer partnership.
Exactly.
Okay.
One has the big ideas.
Yeah.
The other one makes them a reality.
Okay, what about, say, a green and a yellow?
Hmm.
They both seem pretty laid back.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they lack the drive to get things done?
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
You know, while greens and yellows
Mm-hmm.
might not be as like outwardly driven
Right.
as reds,
Okay.
they bring other valuable strengths
Okay.
to the table.
Okay.
Greens foster harmony and teamwork.
Uh-huh.
Yellows spark creativity,
Yeah.
innovative thinking.
Okay, so it's about understanding that there are different types of drive.
Exactly.
Not just the reds, like go-getter energy,
Right.
but the greens drive for consensus,
Yeah,
and the yellows drive to explore new ideas.
precisely. Each color contributes
Hmm.
in its own way. And when those contributions are like recognized and valued,
Yeah.
that's when you get true synergy.
Okay, I'm starting to see the potential of this system, not just for like understanding individuals,
Right.
but for building strong teams
Yeah.
and even fostering more effective leadership.
And that's actually where we're headed next.
Okay.
You know, Erikson, he dedicates a good chunk of the book
Mm.
to like the implications of this color system
Yeah.
on leadership styles and organizational dynamics.
That's something I'm really interested in exploring
Yeah.
because I've always wondered if there's like a best leadership style
Hmm.
or if it really just depends on the situation and the
Right.
people involved.
That's a question that Erikson tackles head on.
Okay.
He argues that each color type
Uh-huh.
brings its own strengths and weaknesses to leadership.
Okay.
And the most effective leaders are the ones who can adapt their style
Okay.
to the needs of their team and demands of the situation.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
All right, let's dive into that leadership discussion.
Let's do it.
And see how these colors play out
Okay.
in the boardroom.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk leadership.
Okay.
If I'm picturing like a stereotypical CEO, you know, I'm thinking decisive, commanding,
Yeah.
probably a red, right?
Yeah, you're not far off.
Okay.
You know, Erikson, he paints a pretty vivid picture
Okay.
of the red leader. Think like bold vision,
Mhm.
laser focus on goals,
Okay.
no time for dilly-dallying.
Sounds effective,
It can be.
but maybe a bit intense.
Yeah, well, imagine a team that's constantly on edge, afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, that red drive,
Yeah.
it can be a double-edged sword.
Okay.
You know, it can inspire, but it can also intimidate.
So a good red leader needs to balance that decisiveness
Right.
with some empathy.
Exactly.
And make sure they're not just like steamrolling over their team.
It's not just about being nice.
Right.
It's about recognizing, that different people need different types of motivation.
Okay, so if a red is all about achieve the goal, no excuses, how would say a yellow leader
Okay.
approach things?
Think less top-down directive,
Okay.
more collaborative brainstorming.
Hmm.
You know, the yellow leader is all about positive energy,
Yeah.
fostering creativity,
Oh,
making work feel fun.
it sounds like a great work environment.
It can be.
But is that enough
Right.
to get things done?
Well,
Could that lack of structure lead to chaos?
it's a valid concern.
Okay.
You know, a yellow leader might struggle with setting boundaries,
Uh-huh.
enforcing deadlines.
Okay.
You know, their strength is in inspiring that big picture thinking, not necessarily the nitty-gritty execution.
So maybe they need a good blue on
Hmm.
their team to keep things on track.
Oh, that's a winning combo.
Okay.
And speaking of blues,
Yeah.
what kind of leader do they make?
Okay.
Think systems,
Hmm.
processes,
Okay.
data-driven decisions. So the blue leader is less about rallying the troops with a rousing speech.
Yeah.
And more about making sure every detail is accounted for.
I dotted every cross it.
Your process optimized.
Exactly.
But imagine like a rapidly changing market.
Okay.
That blue leader might be slow to adapt,
It could be.
right? Too stuck in their meticulously crafted plans.
It's possible.
So flexibility is key,
It is.
even for a leader who values structure.
You got to be able to adapt.
Okay, what about our greens?
Okay.
How do they fare
Hmm.
in the leadership arena?
Green leaders are all about creating that like supportive, harmonious environment.
Okay.
Think consensus building,
Uh-huh.
active listening,
Okay.
making sure everyone feels valued.
That sounds lovely.
It can be.
But wouldn't they struggle with making tough decisions?
Potentially.
Especially ones that might upset people.
Right. You know, a green leader might shy away from conflict,
Yeah.
avoid giving critical feedback,
Okay.
even if it's necessary for growth.
So it seems like each color has its leadership strengths,
Hmm.
but also its blind spots.
It's a balance.
Right. Almost like you need a leader
Right.
who's a blend of all of them.
That's the ideal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Self-awareness is key.
Okay.
A good leader recognizes their dominant tendencies, their strengths and their weaknesses,
Right.
and adapts accordingly.
And surrounds themselves with people
Exactly.
who complement those strengths and weaknesses.
Right. It's like that well-balanced team.
Yeah.
But at the leadership level,
Okay.
you know, Erikson doesn't give us like a one-size-fits-all answer to
Yeah.
what makes a great leader.
Mm.
It's about recognizing that leadership is contextual.
Okay.
The same traits that make you successful in one situation
Yeah.
could be your downfall in another.
So it's not just about what color you are.
Right.
It's about how you use your color,
Exactly.
how you adapt it to different situations.
Right.
From
Different.
people.
And that's the heart of it. And that's why this book, even with its like simplified color system,
Yeah.
it offers so much food for thought.
Okay.
It's not a manual.
Right.
It's a starting point
Yeah.
for deeper self-reflection.
And for understanding the people we work with,
Right.
live with.
Interact with every day.
Exactly.
Now that you have this framework in mind, I encourage you to observe your own interactions.
Okay.
Who are the reds, yellows, greens, and blues in your life?
Yeah.
How can this awareness shift your communication, your expectations?
It's like we've been given a new set of lenses to view the world through.
Exactly.
And while it might not explain everything,
Right.
it certainly offers a helpful starting point.
And for those who want to go deeper,
Yeah.
Erikson offers a great list of further reading.
Okay.
Titles like Emotional Intelligence, which dives into the nuances of self-awareness,
Okay.
or Quiet,
Yeah.
exploring the power of introversion in a world that often values extroversion.
Those are great recommendations. This deep dive has been fascinating,
Good.
but it's clear there's always more to learn.
There always is.
Well, that's exciting.
That's the exciting part.
It is.
You know, this is just the beginning
Yeah.
of your exploration into the complexities of human behavior.
Okay.
Use this knowledge wisely.
All right.
Stay curious and keep those conversations going.
Well said. Thanks for joining us
Of course.
on this deep dive into Surrounded by Idiots.
Yeah,
We hope you've come away with some valuable insights
absolutely.
and perhaps a newfound appreciation for the colorful tapestry of human personalities.
I like that.
Until next time, keep learning,
Yeah.
keep connecting.
Keep diving deep.
All right. We'll see you next time.